Hello and welcome to another video. Today's video we are going to make this card but with a little twist. I actually am changing the direction, and I'm also changing the stamp set. So I liked this. I thought, oh, how cute is that, right? A nice little blending of colors, the embossing in the front. I thought it was a lot of fun, and unfortunately, you can see here, I tried to scooch it just a smidge, but I didn't quite get it, and that's okay. But it fits really nicely either way, and I think that it's forgivable, if you will. So today we're going to do the same card, but I'm going to make it go this way, open up and out this way. So let me show you what I'm going to do. First, you need your card base. You just need a regular card base. Here I am using Pretty Peacock, and you need it to be 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. You need a piece of your basic white cardstock. It actually needs to be 4 inches by 10.5 inches, scored at 5 1/4. Essentially, this is if you take off a 1/4 inch on both sides here, or on all sides, I mean, sorry. So then, and then, like I said, so we're going to actually be opening it up this way. So then you will need your layering ovals dies. So looks like these. And the one I used was this one. So this is actually the second largest. I use these magnetic sheets to help keep my my dies from shifting around in my case. Yeah, so essentially, I originally was going to use the largest one, and to let a lot of the ink kind of shine through, but I found it to be a little too much space, so I did not do that. So I used the second largest one, and that worked really well. So what you'll do, you'll line it up on your piece right here. You'll put it into the center. I recommend, if you don't have a piece of washi tape, go ahead and get a piece of washi tape and go ahead and kind of put it in place. We also have a magnetic plate that helps. Much better than the previous magnetic plate where I felt like my dies were still moving around a little bit, but assuming you do that correctly, it'll look like this. I recommend that you actually go ahead and die cut out your oval first. The reason why is because when you run your embossing folder through it afterwards, the embossing folder will emboss this centerpiece as well. And if you would like to use this oval for something else, you may not want it to also be embossed. So if that's the case, you want to make sure to do the die cutting first. So I've die cut it. Then what you need to do is you need to pick your embossing folder. So for my first one, hold on. Here we go. So for this one, I used one of our embossing folders. It's called the Brick and Mortar 3D embossing folder. I love this because it has like bricks of various depths, which is really nice. But for this card, I thought, well, since I'm going to be using the Dandelion Wishes, I thought let's use something a little different. So I'm actually using this die here, this embossing folder from the Meadow Moments set. It comes with 2 of them. It comes with this one with kind of the leafy pattern here, and this one with like the butterflies and the little stems with the little branches. So I thought I would use this one. Something to note. This way, it fits perfectly in your mini embossing folder. Absolutely perfectly. This way, it fits in your large embossing, your cut and emboss machine. The problem is that it doesn't want to, see how it's kind of large? It doesn't want to do it gently. So if you are the type of person that you might have difficulty with some, like the cranking motion, if you have difficulty doing that with your embossing machine, you may want to pick just a different embossing folder. It does work. I'll show you what that looks like. It looks like this. Can you see that? Look at that. So it does work. It's just a little bit more, how would I word this? It essentially, it feels like it's maybe a little bit wrong, if you will. So, I would certainly not be doing this particular technique to like mass produce a bunch of cards, for example. So once you have your centered oval cut out, then you run it through your embossing folder machine here. So here I'm doing it like this. All I did is I lined up my piece with this one, and then I ran it through my machine that way. Actually, just like this. And so once you run it through your machine, like I said, it's a rough start, but once it starts, it's usually pretty good. And then you take it out, and there you go. You've got your beautiful embossing, you have your oval die cut, and now you're ready to add some color. So let's go ahead and do that. So for this particular card, since I'm doing it landscape, I thought this dandelion here with a little offshoot would be a really good one to do. So I need to have this piece right here. So here's the thing. If I lay this down, I don't want to glue it just yet. I don't want to adhere it, because here's the thing. If I adhere it and then I mess up on my stamping, it's a lot harder to make up. So I'm going to set it down, and I'm going to take just a pencil. And I'm just going to make a little mark here, and a little mark here, a little mark here, and a little mark here. You're going to be erasing these, so essentially the softer you can go, the better. So then I'm going to move this out of the way and get my stamp. You really want to make sure that you do a really good job stamping this, so you can use the memento, or if you wish, you could also use our StazOn Jet Black ink. I think I might actually use the StazOn this time. So what you do is you mount up your stamp. Make sure it's nice and clean. So if you've used it recently, you want to make sure that it comes off easily enough. Check for fuzz, because unfortunately my crafting space is not free of cats. And because it's not free of cats, I have to always check just in case there are any little stray fuzzies. So notice, you've got your points of reference. So if I put this here, notice it's almost to the edge and it kind of goes off just a little bit, which is kind of nice. If I put it further in the center, it goes off further more. So it's really up to you where you wish to put it. But let's go ahead and get that going. So let's see. You only get one shot though, so make sure that you do a good job inking that up. If you are the type of person that you are worried that you won't get a good impression, I highly recommend you use the Stamparatus for this, so that way you will get a good impression. I'm going to just go like that. Then cover that up. This is a alcohol-based ink, so you do want to make sure you cover it back up really quickly. It will evaporate. And there we go. So now you want to clean that off. But notice it is stamped, and if we take our piece here, lay it there, boom, look at that. And so now we want to let this dry, and while that's drying, you want to take your pencil and erase your little pencil marks. And you want to make sure that you get them very well, because once you start adding in the blending of inks, it's going to be really hard to do that and have it look really nice if there's all these little stray pencil marks. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so we've got that. Now we are using one of the new beautifully soft blending brushes. So this one here I have kind of claimed in my like blue greenish tones, in that I actually used both the Just Jade and the Pretty Peacock inks on this one. And so essentially I just kind of wipe it off as much as I can afterwards. Just like anytime you're blending, I always recommend that you go the lighter color first. It's easier to adjust, and if you accidentally have a little bit more of this Just Jade on your brush after you're done, going to a darker color, it's not going to be as much of an issue. So what you're going to do, make it nice and flat. Open up your ink pad. Ooh, there we go. I was going at it from a weird angle. And so this is actually pretty straightforward. You just kind of rub it on the surface of your ink pad. And there we go. Like, you can't really tell because it's been dyed a little bit from my presents there of earlier cards. But essentially all you do is just blend it on. And I start by pushing it gently. And the reason why is because you don't want really rough edge. And it's not that it's going to get super rough, but you really don't want to encourage that. You want it to be nice and smooth. So there we go. Let's add a little bit more. There we go. If you kind of push it down too hard though, it could definitely leave more of a obvious mark. So you do want to be careful. And if you decide not to use StazOn, if you're using the Memento ink, just make sure that it's really dry, because you wouldn't want to be spreading it around and then also ruining the original ink. So there's that. And now we want to move on to our next one. So just to be sure, you want to make sure that you've got, you know, no ink left. A little bit. See, notice, not very much left. Just like an old piece of paper here, just because I figured I'll keep my paper actually clean this time for a little bit. Okay, so now we use our pretty Peacock. And notice I intentionally went a little bit above. That's because the darker color is going to be pretty easy to just, you know, go on top of this lighter color. So I'm just going to blend it on there. There we go. I just thought this was a fun little color combination too. I'll be sad to see the pretty Peacock go. It was a lovely color. This is one of the in colors for 2019 to 2021. And so those are only good 2 years. So that one's going away. The upside is that we'll get some really nice new colors, I'm sure, once the new annual catalog comes out. You can actually just use your chamois, by the way. Just wipe, 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 wipe until it comes off clean. And you can confirm that, again, with your piece of paper. Notice, didn't do... I think it's because I put more ink on this one than before. And then let's try the other side. And you can always run this under water, especially if you want yours to be as clean as possible. I haven't been. See it here, I've been doing a pretty good job. So this is just regular old staining. I might go through and color it later. Or not color it, the other thing. Rinse it under water. That's what I meant. So there's that. I then want to go ahead and do my last of my stamping, which is the sentiment. So my sentiment here, I thought I would do sending well wishes your way. So let's go ahead, pull that up. There's my stamp, my block, and let's just use Memento for this one. And what I like about this card is that because you're doing so many like fun little techniques, it doesn't really need a ton of embellishments. It's pretty good on its own without the need of a lot of other razzly dazzly things. And there we go. So now we can adhere this piece here to the back side, or to the inside right here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to just use my Tombow. Go. You don't want to put on too much. I have found that while it dries really well, occasionally it'll have kind of a raised surface if you're not careful. So you do want to be aware of that. And there we go, nice and centered. And then when you fold it, it goes like this. Cute, huh? So now I did want to add a little something. So I have this ribbon. This is one of the ribbons for our 2020-2022 in colors. So that would be in the just Jade, because I thought I really want to tie in why I used Jade in the first place. And so I just have, well actually here, let me measure it first. So I have here about 8 inches. You really don't need this much if you're just doing what I did, which is just tying a knot. But I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to struggle on camera tying a knot. So I figured I'd make it a little longer and trim off the excess. So there's that. And there we go. And there we go. So now you just trim it down a little bit. It doesn't need to be trimmed too much. I just have regular old pair of scissors here. I do recommend, if you don't already, that you have a pair of scissors that you like designate your ribbon scissors, so that way you don't accidentally get like your paper snips dull, for example, from ribbon, because of you being kind of a multi-purpose, you know, using it in multiple different trials there. So there we go. And so just like that, we have a fun little fold, a little bit of special embossing, die cutting, blending, a little extra ribbon there, and there we go, fun fold. So those are the same colors as this one here, but a different embossing folder, a different stamp set, a different way it opens up. And I thought, you know what, both of them are kind of fun, and they have kind of a different feel to them. If you are the type of person that you really like the embossing, you could have also run this side the other direction for the embossing, and so you could have had embossing on both sides. That could have been kind of cool too, if that was up your alley. So let me know which one you prefer, and in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already, so that you can see more card videos when they go live. Well, I say live, go available. I haven't done Facebook Lives yet. I'm not quite there yet. But if you were to see the space just outside of this, you would see why. I'm a little still all over the place. So if you have any questions, get in touch. All of the materials you'll need to make the card will be below and linked on my blog directly, so you can add things to your card if you need to. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.